Okay, I think we're ready to go. And if you have any questions at any time, please feel free to use the chat window. All the phone lines are muted. Um, Later on, maybe we can open those up for vocal questions. But for now, just anytime, feel free to use the chat feature of WebEx to ask your question, and I'll get to it as we go through and talk about GeoExpress. So what you see here on the screen is the latest version of GeoExpress 9. This is the unlimited version. I can encode as many images as I want. This is probably the biggest upgrade we've ever done to GeoExpress, which is our flagship product here at LizardTech. The basic idea, if you're not familiar with GeoExpress, GeoExpress is what creates Mr. SID files. And Mr. SID files are those compressed images that look just the same as the originals, but yet they're at least 20 times smaller in file size. So it allows you to work with very, very large amounts of imagery without sacrificing quality. So that's the idea behind Mr. SID files and GeoExpress. GeoExpress allows you to create Mr. SID files. It also allows you to create JPEG 2000 files. Just to kind of give you a visual on this, I'm going to go ahead and toss in a few files here just to kind of so we got a file here. GeoExpress. So we've got Mr. SID Generation 4, Generation 3, Generation 2, JPEG 2000, as well as being able to convert back to a GeoTIFF, for example. You know, if you're not familiar with Mr. SID, it's gone through a few generations now. We're now on the latest generation, Mr. SID Generation 4. So the earliest one was basically just about compressing imagery to smaller file sizes. And giving you a good quality compression. Really about 20 times smaller and still looked visually lossless. Generation 3 expanded on that idea by allowing you to have a faster compression, faster optimization of the images. Once you have them in the format, you could crop out stuff very quickly. You could recompress them even further with a very quick process. Generation 4 expands on all that. Oh yeah, Generation 3 also allowed unlimited file sizes. So you could have images that were several hundred gigabytes in size, such as the one I have loaded in right now. And then Generation 4, the current generation of Mr. SID, gives you the ability to encode hyperspectral, multispectral images, as many number of bands as you want. Just to kind of illustrate that, I'm going to throw in like a 224 band image here. This band has 225 bands, sorry. But you know, you could have bands, images with 8 bands. This image has 8 bands. And you can compress all of those bands to Mr. SID. So you can have a Mr. SID file that's compressed, you know, whatever, 20 times smaller, 10 times smaller, whatever the case may be. Still have all your bands, still have the exact same image quality, full resolution data as the original. So none of the quality is sacrificed there, but it's just in a very efficient Mr. SID file. So that's the Mr. SID file format. That's the latest generation it's on. GeoExpress 9 allows you to create those files. JPEG 2000 is very similar to Mr. SID. If you're not familiar with that, it's just an open source version of kind of a wavelet compression. It's supported in a lot of different places, but oftentimes support for JPEG 2000 can be tricky. Support for Mr. SID is the same everywhere. It's been around for a long time. It's an industry standard file format, and wherever you know Mr. SID is supported, which is pretty much everywhere in the geospatial world, you can use it and you know it's going to be supported. Whereas JPEG 2000 may be, you know, the support is hit or miss. Even though it may be supported in the same places, sometimes, you know, depending on what software created the JPEG 2000 versus what software is reading it, you could have problems. But that's the basic idea there. And now let's take a look at some of the new features of GeoExpress 9. If you saw the old version of GeoExpress, you would know that it has all these different tabs here on the image job list here. You know, if you're loading images, you could load them into different tabs. There was an images tab, there was a Mosaic tab, there was a despeckling tab, all these different tabs to do. You had to choose, you know, what tab to use to do the job. Now we've just narrowed it down to just one job list. And when you start out, you just have these two buttons here. Either you're going to add individual images. So if I want to batch process a bunch of different images and keep them as individual images, I can use this button. If I want to mosaic new images all together, I can hit the mosaic button, choose my output format, and you know the output file, all of that. You know, here if I create a mosaic, it'll ask me to put the tiles in. You know, if I choose all of these tiles here, it'll let me create the mosaic using all of those tiles and send them in a list. So I've got these individual jobs, and I have this mosaic job that I'm running here. If I look at some of the individual jobs, I've got this 8-band image here, and I have the 225-band image, something like that. I've got this mosaic that's just loaded these tiles all up. I have, I guess, hundreds of tiles that I just added to that mosaic. It lists them all here. But I can do all of these jobs now. And the cool thing about GeoExpress 9 is that it's multi-threaded. So it's faster than ever. It's about 4 times faster, at least. You know, especially if you've got a computer with multiple processors. You're going to be able to take full advantage of those processors. And it's going to put, if you're just doing one job, it's going to use all those processors on that one job. Whereas if you looked at GeoExpress 8.5, it would only use one of your processors to do one job. But now we've got GeoExpress 9 as a multi-threaded tool. It can, you know, use those processors on one job. It can split out multiple jobs on different processors and run them at the same time. So you're really going to see a performance improvement with all of the work that you're doing. You know, if you've got work that you're commonly doing, you're going to see it go about 4 times faster than it did before GeoExpress 8.5. So that's a great benefit. The other thing that we did is that we made GeoExpress 9 a lot smarter. So before, you know, there were ways of making things faster in GeoExpress 8.5 or GeoExpress 8, previous versions. You know, if you knew about the optimized tool for existing Mr. Sid imagery, then that would be great. You could load your imagery into the optimized tab, and you'd have a faster process than you would if you didn't know about it. But of course, that relied on you having to know about this specific process to make things faster. Well, now you don't even have to know anything. And GeoExpress will actually choose the smartest process to use behind the scenes. So you don't even have to know this is going on. This is all behind the curtain now. It's going to choose the smartest process, the fastest workflow for the job that you have set up. So for example, if I load in this large image here, as you see, this image was about 179 gigabytes worth of data there. And we compressed it to Mr. Sid Generation 3, and it ended up being about 9 gigabytes in Mr. Sid Generation 3. So that's a significant reduction in file size here. So here's the entire image. It's basically a whole county. You know, if I go to a certain area here, you know, you can see if I zoom in at full resolution, it's a full resolution image, a very high detailed image, but it's significantly smaller. I mean, here you see the power of Mr. Sid. And also, you know, panning and zooming around that image, it didn't take long to load that image, even though it's, you know, a 9 gigabyte file size and 179 gigabytes worth of data. But let's say, you know, for example, I just want to crop out a piece of that image. Now, if I were using GeoExpress 8.5, the previous version, excuse me, what I would have to do is, you know, I might not even know about it. I might just go to the crop tool and say, okay, crop this out, and then find that it takes hours and hours and hours just to crop it out. Whereas if I want to crop a piece out of this in GeoExpress 9, it's going to take a very small amount of time because it's automatically going to choose the optimize process, which I would have had to manually do in GeoExpress 8.5. So let me just choose my cropping coordinates here. And I'm going to set, I only want a small region here, about 500 by 500. And when I preview this here, that's the region I want, just a small region, you know, at full resolution here. So to crop this out, if I run just this job, I can execute just this job here by right-clicking on it, or I can execute selected jobs there. It's actually going to choose the fastest process now. It knows it's a Generation 3 image. It's already finished cropping out that piece. Total time was 6 seconds. You know, so I have that image now. You know, just from a large image, cropping out a piece of it, very short amount of time. That's GeoExpress 9. It's so fast. It's smart about the process. It uses multiple processors to complete the job. And it can get done the things that I need to get done way faster than ever before. So, so that's one major example of how it can work faster for you. The other example would be like, well, before I get into too many of those, let's just look at some of these. So now that I've added jobs, you can see that other buttons are available to me. So if I don't have any jobs selected, I can add new images, or I can do a mosaic. If I select a job, or if I select multiple jobs, this tells me what tools are available for that kind of job, for that kind of image that I've added. If I just select this one, I can see all the tools are available for this. And let's look at some of these tools. We've got a reprojection tool. All of these before were kind of hidden away, or hidden amongst a larger group of buttons. We have a color balance tool. With these new icons, it makes it pretty easy to see, what each of these are. We have an area of interest tool, which allows you to select an area of interest in the image and apply a different compression ratio to it, or maybe black it out, or use a vector overlay to do the same kind of selections. A cropping tool, which has a lot of advanced cropping features. I only focused on one when I just showed you just now, the quick cropping. But there's a lot of other features in there, such as a shapefile crop, just using a vector overlay, either GML or a shapefile or some other vector overlay to crop out an area, such as was used in this particular image itself. This image was a subset of a larger data set, but when they actually cropped it to the county bounds here. They have a shapefile here that looked exactly like this. But also we have this despeckling tool, and this despeckling tool is a pretty a neat one for older compressed imagery, like maybe you have a Generation 2 Mr. Sid file or a Generation 3, or maybe you have some other format that's compressed that you want to convert to Mr. Sid. And it's got all of these speckles on the edge here, which kind of look just like the icon, where outside of the image bounds, there's all these little speckles out there that are the result of compression artifacts. Well, this tool helps to clean those up. And then, of course, there's the Edit Metadata tool. So if you click this tool, you can actually add metadata tags, without having to recompress the entire image. It's just going to add that metadata into the file. You can also work with the coordinate reference system there without having to reproject it. You can say, oh, well, actually, this image is actually in, Ohio state plane in meters or something like that, or just switch the projection altogether without actually doing anything to the image, without reprojecting it. And of course, here you can also view the current metadata that is in the image itself. Here it's listing all of the source tiles and all of those other things in the metadata. So we have these 6 main tools that you can use on the image, and some of them, if you click, notice color balancing isn't available for this particular image. It kind of just lets you know that for this image, for what you've selected, let's say if I'd chosen here Mr. Sid Generation 2 as my output. You see there's a bunch of different options that go away. It's smart about that. It lets you know, hey, this tool is not available because you selected Generation 2. If you'd selected Generation 3, you'd see that all of the tools are available. Or higher, Generation 4, all the tools are available. This Mosaic here, it's letting me know that for this particular Mosaic, color balancing is not available. And that could be, as I change the features here, Generation 3 there, color balancing is available for this particular Mosaic. So, and that's just showing you that color balancing is not available for these hyperspectral images. Color balancing is going to be available for the 3-band images. So those are just some of the tools that we offer. The reprojection is pretty advanced. You can go to any number of different coordinate reference systems. We've made this kind of sleek too. If you want to choose an output reference system, let's say I wanted to just go to WGS 84. I can just start typing that, and it will actually select that for me. In some older versions of GeoExpress, we didn't have that search tool. We did in the previous version, but it's kind of sleek to just be able to search and find what you need. And in fact, if I knew the ID there, the EPSG code, I could just type that in, 4326. That narrows it down significantly. Or let's say I don't know anything, and I just start typing Ohio. So there's Ohio. There's all the options I have. So it's a very nice feature of the reprojection tool. So there's a lot of sleek, fast, smart features about GeoExpress that are all brand new, that haven't been here before. First, just to kind of reiterate here, we've got the multi-threaded, multi-processor encoding now available, so that if you're using just one large job, or if you're using multiple smaller jobs or multiple large jobs, it's going to use the power of all your processors. Highly recommended now, just use a 64-bit system, plenty of RAM, plenty of processors, all you can throw at it, and GeoExpress will take advantage of all of that. The next thing that we did was we smartened it up. We've got we've got it so that it's choosing automatically the correct workflow for what you need. Like when I just cropped a piece of that larger image, it was smart enough to just use the optimize tool, which is now behind the scenes. You'll never have to worry about that again. You'll never even have to think about it. Just know that behind the scenes, these things are happening. Let's take a look at some of the other things that it offers. I mentioned multispectral encoding. So when I have an image like this TIFF right here, and I want to convert that to Mr. Sid Generation 4, I have a number of different encoding options available to me. Bands and compression here, I can choose to do per band compression. So let's say that I wanted to reorder the bands or compress bands differently. So here I've got them all at 10 to 1. But let's say I want the first 3 bands to be lossless. I can apply those bands right there, make them lossless. Let's say I want these ones to be 10 to 1. So now those are 10 times smaller. And let's say that these first 3 bands are actually red, green, and blue. If I check this box, I can tell it that it's RGB, and it provides a much higher quality compression knowing that that's RGB. So I have all of these options available to enhance the compression, or to just let me work with this multi-band image in a more efficient way. Maybe I don't even want the last 3 bands here. I can get rid of those and just have bands 1 through 5. Maybe I just want to only have an image that includes, that's a 3-band image, but only includes certain bands. Maybe that's band 4, 1, and 2. I don't need band 3. Maybe I need band 4 to be the first band in the output image. So I can do that. I can go 4, 1, 2. I can reorder the bands. I can, it always keeps track of what the source band was, so just in case things get mixed up and I need to change, I can always go back. But now if I preview this, it'll let me preview it with what I've selected there. It shows me the resolution, shows me the color combination I've selected. So with multi-band image, hyperspectral images, I get a lot more flexibility. And then finally, if I can combine all these different jobs into one. So I've got this huge mosaic, right, where I've got an image that's made up of in this case, several hundred tiles. Let's say that I want to mosaic it. I want to crop it out at the same time because, I have this large area. I don't know what pieces of the SID files make up, the different areas that I want to use, but I know I need a specific area. So if I choose to crop the image here, it will actually do the mosaic job for me, crop it out at the same time. And if let's say I wanted to reproject, I could add on reprojection as well. Basically, you can combine all of these tools into one process and do all of that. The other thing to mention is that all of this stuff works on the command line as well. So if you're a batch process user, if you don't necessarily need to use the graphic interface and you just want to set up some batch files or something like that, you can do that via the command line and have all of these smart features working for you as well. It'll be multi-threaded. It'll use the smart. It'll use the intelligence of GeoExpress, and it'll make that work for you. So let's see here. Just setting up my job here. And, if I wanted to, I could use geospatial coordinates to specify, what area I needed. But there I've chosen my cropping area. And when I preview it, it basically will show me, what I've selected with the mosaic, with the crop. Basically, I don't have to know which files make up which area. I can load them all here in the mosaic and choose my cropping options, and GeoExpress will take care of that for me automatically. So that's GeoExpress 9 in a nutshell. Basically, it's faster, it's smarter, it's much cleaner now without all the tabs and stuff like that. There's some new icons, some pretty icons. Subjectively, I think they look great, and a bunch of tools, a bunch of flexibility for what you need to do. I'd like to answer any questions now that you have on GeoExpress 9. Maybe differences from the previous version. Comments on if you've used it already. And just to let you know, there is a free trial of GeoExpress 9 available for download on lizardtech.com. You can just hit our webpage. You'll see the trial link, and give it a try for 30 days. You can produce unlimited Mr. SID files, and they'll be watermarked, but it's a good way to try out your test jobs and see if it works for you. You can also feel free to contact me anytime. I'm at rparker@lizardtech.com. And I'll be happy to help you through the trial, walk you through different workflows that you might need to do, and help you out with whatever you have, what's going on. So I have a question here about the cropping tool, and it's asking, is there a free-form selection tool for cropping imagery, or is cropping limited to square or rectangular selections? So cropping is actually pretty flexible. Obviously, there's the rectangular selection tool I just showed you, but in addition to that, there's also this vector overlay file tool. And let me see if I can find a good example of that. Let's see here. So here I'll add in let me add in a new job here that kind of illustrates that one that I do actually have a shapefile for, just to kind of show that off. I'm going to get rid of some of these, get them out of the way, get them out of the queue, And we'll drop this guy in. And let's say I choose my cropping. I say vector overlay file. I can browse then for my shapefile. So there's my shapefile. And that actually gives me a nice little area here. Basically, I'm cropping out the water. When I preview that, it shows me just exactly that, just a nice nuanced crop there using a shapefile. So that way you can do stuff like county boundaries and things like that. So to answer your question, yes, there is a freeform selection tool essentially. I mean, there's nothing that you can't necessarily draw your own shapefile here in GeoExpress, but you can import it from elsewhere. So I hope that helps. Other question I see here is GeoExpress. Does it still come in the cartridge version, or is it all unlimited now? Are there tiers? Yes, there are tiers. So if you're doing a small amount of compression, if you don't need to do hundreds and hundreds of, if you don't need to do terabytes of compression, you might be able to get away with getting a lower cost version. We sell it at different levels. Level 1 gives you 100 gigabytes of compression per year. Level 2 is 500 gigabytes. Level 3 is a terabyte. So you can kind of purchase based on your usage. We do offer this unlimited version that I'm showing right now, where you don't have to worry about how much you're compressing. You can just freely compress whatever you like. So we also offer a tools version that doesn't come with any compression. So, for example, if all of your source imagery is already in the SID format or JPEG 2000, you can actually work with it at a very low cost using GeoExpress tools. And all of this is basically, you can crop it, you can reproject it, you can do all of that stuff as long as it's already in Mr. SID. The tools version doesn't allow you to convert from some other image format into Mr. SID. So are there any other questions now on GeoExpress 9, on, functionality, on something you wanted to see but didn't necessarily get to see? There's a good question I see that just popped up here. So somebody remembers a problem with mask info not being certain pixel colors here, 000, 255. Does it correct for that, or you can compress and mask with a loaded polygon? So there's a bunch of different ways we deal with, basically what you're talking about is transparency, mask info, masking info. One thing I forgot to point out about Mr. SID Generation 4, and just to pull it up, I'll pull up this file again here, is that Mr. SID Generation 4 has this thing called an alpha band. So if you're using Mr. SID Generation 4, the alpha band is going to set the mask for you. So when I crop this image, when I do this crop by shapefile, the alpha band is actually going to mask everything that's black that you see there, that's been cropped out by the shapefile. Everything outside of that shapefile bound is actually going to have the band say that everything underneath it is transparent. So I don't even need to worry about pixel values anymore. I can compress the heck out of this, not worry about the mask being 000 or 255. It's actually going to be smart enough to have that alpha band say what is transparent and what is not transparent. So let me just quickly compress this image here, and I'm just going to call it MG4. So I'll execute that job. So it's going to just crop out that image within a few seconds here, convert it also to MG4. So it was an MG3, and now it's being basically decompressed and compressed back to MG4. Now this would have been 4 times slower in GeoExpress 8, and I would have hesitated to even run the process in front of you. But now I've got my MG4. If I preview this here, I'll show you this really cool thing. I've got this band selector here in the preview. I can view bands 1, 2, and 3. I can change things. Now let's look at grayscale here. Let's look at just the alpha band. Now right now the alpha band is, by default, the entire image. So let's take a look at what happens if I use this tool to set it to the transparency value here. So here I'm going to process the job once again with my selected alpha options. And when I preview the new one with alpha options set, you'll see the difference here. Now, of course, I can also set alpha options to the source's value. Let's say that the black was the value. I could set alpha to that as well. I could also despeckle the image to find the image edge, and we could despeckle and find the alpha based on that. So let's just take a look here real quick. See if I chose the correct options first of all. Oh, I needed to choose a different one. Sorry about that. So you're also asking, what if we are not masking with a polygon, but we have existing masking info in the outside tiles of an area of interest? Well, you would probably want to set the value in the alpha, and you would probably want to choose the pixel, the value there, based on your mask, or based on what your source file is. But the alpha will give you that same kind of transparency there. So here's with the correct alpha set. We can see that the alpha band is just masking the black areas. The white area shows what is shown through in the image, and that should give you what you need. Rather than choose the despeckle, I would choose the alpha using the I think in your case the white pixel as the transparency value. Hopefully that helps. You can always contact me directly at rparker@lizardtech.com, and we can look at your specific situation and see how we can help it go the way you want it to. Are there any other questions on GeoExpress functionality? Just to kind of reiterate here, it's about 4 times faster using multiprocessors, using multi-threads on the same job, as well as splitting multiple jobs on different processors. It's smarter now, automatically doing workflows for you that you would have had to manually do in the past to make it faster. And yeah, hopefully that looks good to you. Hopefully you'll give it a trial. And please feel free to contact me anytime at rparker@lizardtech.com. Appreciate everybody coming out today and listening to me, and hope to hear from you soon. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.